personal vlog, star date October 31st, 2016. These are the expensive ones, these loppers. Clippers, loppers, whatever they're called. I'm working on the apple tree, but these foamy grips split apart and it started to frustrate me. Oh, music. Oh, I hope that doesn't copy. You know what? Who cares? I don't make any money doing this anyways. So these are the expensive ones, the $40 ones. They make cheaper ones. It's not worth it. Buy the expensive ones. But nevertheless, even the expensive ones have design flaws and they're riddled with crappy quality. But okay, the foamy stuff split, and what I did here was I stretched some rubber, and this is great. This is bike tube. I use bike tube for lots of stuff, and I get it on with compressed air. It's the secret to all stretchy rubber applications. I'll show you how I did it. But of course, this being one of those vlogish sorts of things, I'll fill you full of some other distractions. More rubber. This is for my squeegee, which is here. I had to give it a new coat of paint because I just used it for driveway sealing. And, you know, I ran a cost-benefit analysis. This is for squeegeeing off the back deck when it gets wet for concrete and such. And I could have either made a new one to do the driveway sealing, or I could have just redid this, so I chose the latter. Path of least resistance and all, you know? Also been doing lots of mud work. I'm doing the final preparation to move out of this place. We found a nice place in the woods, lots of property, very private, requires some fixing up. I may be gone for a long time because of it, but the seller seems to want to work with us and close this deal. So this is a wonderful time for me. Very, very exciting. Make one of these. I found the $2 casters at some discount store. What in the world does that sound? There's this discount store out on one of the highways a few miles from here, and they sell these. It's not like Harbor Freight. It sells kind of crappy tools like that, but not quite as mainstream as Harbor Freight. It's more white trashy. And wow, it's a circus. It's a zoo. It's like a cross between some sort of swap meet and flea market, and just wow, it's funny. I really, if it wasn't such a stomping of people's personal freedoms, I would love to just go around the place and videotape, because of the weirdos. They're just proper weirdos that roam around that place. Anyhow, oh, phone, I have to go. I'll be back. I'm not sure if that was good or bad news. I'm also not sure if I should even be discussing this with you. But the seller is ready to accept our deal on this house, which has a garage twice as big as this and a much better view. And it's much quieter. The seller is ready to accept our deal, but not willing to hold it in a state of contingency whereby she would not, or where she would be excluded from making or accepting other offers. So I'm simplifying it, the terms a little bit, but it sounds as though she wants to retain the ability to sell the property out from under us, and that, needless to say, I find unacceptable, because if I'm going to stick all of my stuff into some pod and then ship it off to wherever and hold it until this house has been staged and manages to fall into agreement, I'll explain what that is in a moment, then I want some assurance that my new house isn't going to be sold out from under me. This is quite a conundrum. And I'm not sure how reasonable it is that I'm talking to myself. You know, I guess I'm not really talking to myself. I guess you are somebody. And you know what? I really appreciate you. Thanks for listening. But I need a little bit of time yet, because there are still some things that I have to do to the house before it's ready to sell. I have to finish the carpeting upstairs, and I have a painter coming to help me finish. And then, like I said, I want to get a lot of stuff out of this house to stage it to sell. But I'm at my wit's end with this place. I'm ready to go. I want to leave. And the place that we found is just wow. I would love to tell you about it. I would love to share the experience with you. I'm also, I like what John Heiss does, that he takes you along the way and on his second channels and third channels and shows you what's going on, and that way you can have the vicarious experience. And I'm going to have a similar experience where I have lots of work to do on this property, but it will be potentially double what this property can be worth. This is a small, not small, but medium-sized suburban split entry. And while this is highly desirable because it's in the it lies in the outskirts of Pittsburgh, so it's not too difficult to commute to a more hear that sound? That's the mail truck. During the most fruitful 2 hours of my day, I have to listen to that out here. It's just one of the myriad sounds that ruin the peace here. So the only sound that you can hear at this new property is a chicken. I heard a chicken, a rooster, in the distance. Aside from that, nothing but bees buzzing and birds singing. Do you hear that? And you know what else sucks about that? Our postal service, I think it's efficient, and I love it, but it's been hijacked by corporate interests that use it as a delivery service for their garbage propaganda. So needless to say, it pisses me off because of the unnecessary... Am I ranting? Excuse me. But do I accept the offer? Do we accept the offer? We don't know. I mean, maybe we should accept it, but the level of uncertainty over the next couple months. Now, what we could do is just not stage this house, sell it in the condition it's in. But look at the disarray. I'm living in disarray, and it was wonderful. I had it all pretty at one point, and I mean, it really can be a nice house, but it's a mess, and we're just not ready. But we need to get out of here, even if it comes at great personal expense. Well, this will all be painted a more neutral color. And this will be carpeted. Oh, there's so many things about this house that I've never even shown you. Never even finished my harmonograph. Sorry. I really wanted to show you the harmonograph. I will get to it. It's so brilliant, and I'm so afraid that somebody else is going to post the method before I can get to it. Because, hello, I'm from the future. Or, well, at least with respect to my character's chronology, I'm from the future. With respect to you, I'm in the present, and with respect to me, I guess I'm in the past. Wait, is that right? I don't know. But I figured that you'd like to see how it turned out. And it's the week before Christmas. I still have not sold this house. And I still have a bit of a mess to clean up. And I still am uncertain as to what the future holds. But we'll see. So let's go back to the past, present plot and proceed. I'm so afraid that somebody else is going to post the method before I can get to it, because that's happened so many times. I have these just stacks and stacks of written out screenplays that I never get to in time, and then someone else produces the video, and such is the nature of procrastination and life. The king of random just posted that Ugu or whatever that is, that modeling compound that comes from using soap and silicone, and I had figured that out a long time ago, how to mold things and make that. And I was working on a project. I did something like, oh, it was very systematic. I wrote all sorts of pages out about my different trial runs with different formulations of the product, and I really nailed it eventually, but I just never... There was a second part of the process that I never really fully explored, where I was using hot glue in the molds to manufacture the products, instead of using a casting resin or anything like that. And just because of time constraints and procrastination, I never got around to it. But the King of Random makes a beautiful product. When he makes the professional quality videos that he does occasionally, oh man, they're wonderful. I mean, they're so succinct, and he leaves out unnecessary nonsense and just shows you the procedure. I really think he has a gift for demonstrating procedure. I really do. The concision with which he produces is, and the frequency, he's a machine. But no, I don't want to sound as though I'm kissing his ass, because I also don't. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do the hearsay thing. I don't want to gossip about people or say negative things about people. It's not fair. I don't want to start doing that. I don't want to go down that path. I like to keep some measure of neutrality with this channel. There have been times where I've been tempted to take cracks at other creators. So trust me, some of the ways that they proceed I find to be unethical. But and I'm not specifically targeting or mentioning him, but just this thing, this YouTube creator thing, it puts us in weird positions. So to that, and for that, I excuse some things that I would otherwise find distasteful, because I understand the stressors and the awkward situation in which we're in. Oh, okay, now I went from ranting to rambling. Have you guessed what that is yet? I was going to make an exclusive video about it, but I don't have time for that. I'm going to just have to cycle through more and more ideas just to get them on tape, because I don't have time to make videos about all of them. Let me show you what it does. Well, looks like I was incorrect. It's not just corporate propaganda. It's also political garbage, which... that's another thing, speaking of neutrality, that I don't engage here. I would like... This election is just... It's awful. The level of disrespect in the public discourse has sunk to a new depth of lowness. It's just... It exceeds anything I ever remember in life. And the propaganda matches. I got this other one, it was... The other day it said something like, there are only 2 actual candidates that you... And it was suggesting that a vote for a third candidate, a third party, is oftentimes detrimental to what more closely matches your political preference. So let's say candidate A is left-leaning and candidate B is right-leaning, and you prefer candidate B, but if you vote for the slightly right-to-center candidate... Oh man, this is getting complicated. Voting for a third candidate can rob you of what would be your concession prize. It can be against your interests. Not that that matters, because most American voters vote against their interests anyways, just because of their complete political ineptitude and historical and economic ignorance. Let's be honest. I mean, come on, if you're watching this channel, you're probably not one of those people. But most people, as I said, if you went to that swap meet or Walmart or anywhere else, you're going to see mostly people that have strong opinions but not strong support in favor of those opinions. But anyhow, the one that said about Hillary Clinton... Oh no, I spoiled it. It seemed as though it were nonpartisan, and it said, don't vote for a third candidate, and it had these other candidates. One was D's nuts, if you can believe that we've sunk to that level. They actually had in one of the checkboxes D's nuts, as though that were somebody you could vote for. Not to say that a large number of people don't actually write D's nuts in on when they go to vote, but come on, think about the declined, as I was saying about the declined quality of discourse. D's nuts on a political flyer? I mean, come on, man. Well, anyhow, it seemed as though it were just completely nonpartisan, and then when you flip it over, it said at the bottom, vote Hillary. And so it wasn't nonpartisan. You have to watch for those sorts of things. But are you curious? Are you curious who I would vote for? Are you curious how I would respond to Casey Neistat? I think Casey Neistat's message was entirely misinterpreted. For one, he said that it was the responsibility of content creators to uphold their moral obligation to defend the democratic process. Hold on, I'm pausing for length. Not that I'm a defender of the democratic process, mind you, because I think democracy is a fool's ideal, and I don't think that we can ever realize it as long as men are not angels. But Casey had a noble... He had a point that I respected, that it's the obligation of a person who can communicate with a large number of people to speak their mind and not remain neutral. Because neutrality is complacence. Casey's no dummy. A lot of people attacked him in the comments, I noticed. It's not much of an astute observation. They just crucified him because they're a mob. But I defend Casey's right to choose, and I also respect his decision. In this election especially, both candidates are compromises from what most people would want to vote for. And that said, I can probably understand either ideology. I do, however, land in favor of one over the other. I think there's one that logic dictates is the better choice, and I will leave that to your imagination. If you know me well enough, you probably understand who many of my intellectual heroes are, and those people voice their opinions more loudly than I do, so it won't take you much digging to find out where I rest on this election. But I don't want to talk about it anymore, because I don't feel that it is my place to further enable this garbage, because it really is making us nasty. Okay, enough politics, and on to this. I want to show you what it is. In preparation to sell, I had to rebuild this wall. They actually had railroad ties. It was checkerboarded with railroad ties in some of these blocks, but I managed to find these blocks. I know, the pumpkin isn't that good. I usually do a much better job. I did it as fast as I possibly could because of how busy I am. I was one of those kids that had stuff in the display case in art class, in design in high school. So I can really make a good pumpkin, but I really had to do it quickly. I don't have the time to waste. I can really get lost in making those. Anyhow, the wall, I rebuilt it and it was a nightmare, but look at this. It took me two tries to design this so that it didn't break, because the geometry requires it to have reinforced spots. It doesn't work the way that you would think. Here, I hope you can get a good view. I don't want to set up the tripod. It's not bad to use. I mean, as evinced by the fact that I just did that while using the camera. but because they fit like a key, I smashed my fingers once, I think, and then I had enough of that. Then I wasn't going to buy one, especially because I don't even know if it fits that well. But it turned out well. Look, I even ended up on a whole number, so that there's just a hole and a half as an ender. Not bad, right? Take a good look at it so that should you want to construct it, you can learn from the mistakes that I made. And maybe you could probably design one right off the bat, right out of the gate without failures. If I had the time, I would make you a template or give you more details, but I do not. And I want to tell you about this rubber handle thing, and I think there was something else. Oh, okay. I'll show you the squeegee, and then I'm going to film a quick about that balance beam that I mentioned before, and then I have to go back to work. Although I enjoy this distractive rambling, and I think some of you do as well, I really can't afford to do it right now. So I'm going to put my rubber back in my squeegee and the, what's that called? The handle? Yeah, the handle goes in there. And I'll be with you in a moment. Go ahead. Click on D's nuts and it'll take you to the next part of the video. Make a choice.